So I'm starting this Substack Live to present the Rainbow of All Beings process. This is a new resource that I shared on my Maven page. You might have seen it there. I opened the Zoom on one link and Substack and the phone. So to kind of speak parallelly. So I'm going to might let in some guests on the Zoom, and I'm going to see if you can kind of say hello through multiple devices. And the reason I'm live on Substack is for people listening there and to record just myself. And here I'll also record here. Hi, Remy, welcome. So I'm live both on Substack and on Zoom at the same time. So I'm talking to to um, to the phone and to the computer. So it's like, oh my God. But it's nice to see you, Raimi. And just wait another minute before we start. But if it's okay with you, I'll start also recording on the Zoom. And unfortunately, for people who'll be listening on Substack, I'm not able to share slides or something on Substack. So just if you're looking at Substack and you want later to see the slides, I put the link in the chat. But also I will share the recording from the Zoom um, on the Maven page, so you can kind of go back to it and see. So in case I'm sharing slides and you don't know what I'm talking about, you can find it in the chat or later go to the Zoom recording. Um, so just kind of sharing a bit um, why I'm doing this live. Well, first of all, I'm sort of glad that I'm coming in a day that um, Mr. T declared a ceasefire. Um, and while I think um, it's very questionable, the reasons and let's say durability of this ceasefire, I still celebrate it in itself. And I feel as someone that have been active part in war, I learned, like many people before me have learned, there's absolutely nothing good comes out of it. Um, so there's absolutely no good results that ever come from war. If anything, war is where we destroy everything beautiful and everything that is true and innocent. And it is sad that humanity has created this thing that does not exist in nature. Nature doesn't go on to war. Yes, there is conflict. Yes, there's death, but it's all part of a cycle. There's no deliberate destruction coded into nature. Welcome, Cordy. Um, and so I was just kind of reflecting, and I'm both live on Substack on the Zoom, so I might be kind of looking to different sides. Um, and yeah, just the occasion of the ceasefire being declared, um, which I think is a cause for celebration, although of being attentive. And this session is to sort of share, to launch this resource that I've already shared freely from Rainbow of All Beings, which actually started calling this process Rainbow of All Beings started back a year ago, where Coralie, you were also there in the first introduction course to Theater That Reconnects, which was a 5 weeks series. And as part of this series, Carly, was you in this cohort that where we created when there was the first rainbow? Maybe there was two parallel ones to that. So um, we did a 5 weeks, and we go through the process of theater that reconnects. That I'll share more here, moving through the gift, the wound, the medicine, the dream, And then towards the last session, I said, okay, we can, there's a few kind of more elaborate processes that we can try out. And I named Rainbow of Desires. I also named Council of All Being. I also named Truth Mandala. And I said, okay, we only have this amount of time. So this idea came from the group to try to combine Rainbow of Desires and Council of All Being, and this is how this Rainbow All Beings came. But actually, if I kind of backtrack a little bit about where it comes from, it started from an exploration that I did stuck to rainbow when I did a course back in the beginning of the pandemic, 2021, newspaper theater, and again, taking social presence in theater and theater of the oppressed together, meshing them. And there was this movement from struck practice to rainbow of desire, and this was called stuck to rainbow. So now the rainbow of all being is sort of a reintegration, like a scaffolding over that exploration. But let me just take a little step back and I am sorry for people on the Substack. You will not see the share screen. So just if you have the link in the chat that I tried to put, you can look to that. Or if you already have um, if you already have the resource, you can just follow on that. So just take a moment to share it here. Um, and people in this room, I hope you're seeing. So this PDF, which was created by taking the transcript and my notes from the last year of exploring this process and putting it into the machine, into the Notebook LM sense making confusing machine, and then adapting that so that it generated this presentation, and then I adapted it to represent reality and not some kind of hallucination. So it's a sort of co-creation with the records and the notes that I've taken and the transcript of sessions, and then AI and myself. So this Rainbow of All Beings mixes the theater that reconnects process that integrates social presence in theater, theater of the oppressed, and the work that reconnects. And the context of this process, I feel, is the disconnection and dealing with the world in crisis. So this is some numbers that came from a study, um, actually the original study from 2021, and it was updated in 2024, which is that 75% of youth globally um, are think the future is frightening. And this is before the recent war we just experienced, yeah. And 2021, even before um, the Ukraine um, escalation. So the future is frightening for the majority, the grand majority of young people, and that whether you are experiencing it yourself or you're seeing it around you, that has an impact. As an educator, I've been working in a university settings with young people in this age group. And when I show this number, they concur, they might bring it even higher. Um, and the social mental disturbance that this comes is very noticeable and people resonate with. So as the position to that, as in the polarity of that, this the reconnection, and I put it on the other side, not just put it on a polarity, but as a opportunity from the other side of it, because everything in nature creates in polarity, not through good and evil, but through polarity, through poles, through positive, negative, not through uh, good and bad or evil and good. So the reconnection in that case is again a review of arts in nature intervention that reduce and improve mental health scores. So this is all things that maybe some people who already have experienced it themselves know, but it's nice to see it kind of confirmed and how raising up 45% in young adults mental health and reduce cortisol. So nature and arts in nature, in particular, as something that maybe is an antidote to this what we're experiencing, the young people particularly are experiencing. So again, I mentioned a synthesis of transformative lineages, and my first experience with social presence in theater came through the U Lab, which was an online course, or still is, by Pressing Institute, and then meeting Arawana Hayashi, its founder, and I highly recommend it. I'm a practitioner, researcher, advanced practitioner of it, and it's really about the focus there for me is the body and the present moment, and the knowing in the body and the present moment. And every practice of social presence theater, every space that I am, kind of brings me closer to this realization. Wow, my body knows. This moment knows more than I allowing it to show me. And what it has offered to the rainbow of all beings, particularly, is the stuck practice that invites us to connect with the knowing in that body. I also, in the process, when I do the process a bit in a longer setting, I also bring the 20-minute dance. So I'll share a bit more about it later. The other lineages is theater of the oppressed. And the focus here in this particular integration is the mind and society, because what really theater of the oppressed, which I'm a practitioner of for over, yes, since 2009, 10, I'm a practitioner of theater of the oppressed, so 15 years. And the particular jewel from this very complex and fascinating body of work that I'm bringing is the rainbow of desires. And it's a process that invites us to collectively observe the social forces that are in play. So we actually embody the voices in our head in Rainbow of Desires and Cops in the Head sometimes. And we sort of problematize and look at the internalized oppression. So in the rainbow of all beings, it's not a full rainbow process. It's more of a touch and go and an expansion from the stuck with forces to the rainbow. Um, and I'll go back to it for where is it similar or different later on in my presentation. But yes, so and the other lineage is the work that reconnects, which is very important for theater that reconnects, of course, as I feel from the work of Joanna Macy, it provides both theoretical grounding, although it's not a theory, but it provides theoretical grounding because of how it connects with deep ecology and maybe different than theater of the oppressed. I feel it provides a framework that is grounded in ecocentric or eco perspectives. It's not anthrocentric and anthropocentric. Of course, it's difficult to do something not anthropocentric, not focused on human when you are a human. But I feel Work That Reconnects provides a grounding that connects us with that. And as a practice, it focuses on earth and spirit, and that's the part in the rainbow of all being where we integrate the council of all being, which again, we're not doing it by the book or how in theater that reconnects, in work that reconnects, you would usually do council of all being. It's a ritual and has a very, so in the rainbow of all beings, we integrate some elements from it. And the main elements we bring is we invite ourselves to embody and give voice to more than human wisdom to support ourselves as humans in this great turning or great unraveling or great transition that we're unfolding. And I'll share more how exactly it happens. So this is the three lineages. And for people here in the room, I'm going to have a moment for questions and interaction, but I'm just kind of going through it, the motion, if it's okay. Um, and again, this four-stage architecture of transformation or stages within theater that reconnects, which is inspired in the work that reconnects spiral and other sources, which is also integrated into the rainbow of all beings. So here, my notebook and prompt was something, do something Zen calligraphy with the watercolor, and it did, I think, a pretty good job with kind of giving it a Zen calligraphy style. And I don't know what the science means. I need a like an interpreter here for the Japanese. But whether it's exact or not. But I'll start with this kind of on the bottom. You see the green, the gift, grounding the body, and cultivating deep gratitude for life. So this is quite important for me, or for the process of theater that reconnects, that we don't necessarily shy away from the wound or everything else, but we try to ground ourselves first, and we're trying to connect with this gratitude and for life, and the capacity for us to connect with our gifts. So we so there's a belief that we all have a capacity, um, a unique capacity, a unique gift that we bring into the world, and that we feel the support. So that's part of the process of grounding. Then you see the wound, which again, or the honoring the pain, identifying the shape of stuck. When we talk about the stuck, we talk about the the brokenness, the wound of the world that we are particularly carrying. And so there is a kind of both a personal and a collective aspects of the wound and the stuck that we're exploring. We go to the medicine, which is seeing with new eyes in the work that we connect, and it's the part where we introduce the rainbow with the voices and the dialoguing, and we're trying to find somehow ways to reintegrate aspects of the stuck or the woundedness, and it might become more clear later, or not. And then the dream, which is the part where we're going forth and to integrate. And this is where also the beings are coming in. They might come already in the medicine, but this collective dream, that this actually comes from a fourth. Well, I see I have like a Zoom time limit, so I might invite the people in the Zoom to reconnect with the same link, because I'm using my non-pro account. But let me move through to the. So again, when we do the process in a full scale or a few days, or we have more hours, I usually start with kind of grounding the body in the 20-minute dance. So it's a mindfulness practice, usually with no music, just listening to the body, starting from lying down, paying attention to what the body wants and needs, and alternating movement and stillness, moving into sitting to standing. And this practice of being in attention to the body creates a container, in my experience, for us to start to attune to the information that comes from the body, and that comes from the present moment, and that comes also from the earth and from the more the human world around us. Like now I'm getting a little bit more quiet and less kind of anxious about this presentation. What happens? I notice the birds, and I notice my heart, my breath, and that's already a huge transformation. Um, then the step that we move in the process, and that might take short or long, depending how long is your process, is defining the stack. And again, for people on the Substack, you can follow on the slides if you see it in the chat. And this is connected with the wound, and in the stuck, which comes from social present theater, we embody a situation that feels stuck personally, professionally, but also collectively. And we enter into relationship and noticing the stuck, and we allow from it a new movement to emerge. So that comes again from the body of work of Arawana Hayashi and social presence in theater. The particular stuck practice I use in Rainbow of All Beings called stuck with forces. So we actually integrate the forces. So nobody's stuck on their own. That's something that Arowana taught me. And so nobody's stuck in isolation. So we're always stuck with. So we're creating those forces, those stuck forces, imaginary, but we created an embodied shape. And even though the process we've have done it more time online than in person by now, um, it's amazing how people are able to perceive and be a force in someone else's stuck and feel connected, and the person, the stuck person, how much they feel their force. This is quite astonishing, even though we are in completely different parts of the world. So that we create the stuck forces, we feel into the shape, and we see what wants to emerge, a shift. So the stuck too is not necessarily the solution; it's just what wants to happen next. In that stage, after we move from step two, this is also where I usually take a break or we notice and we drop into the rainbow part. And there's different kind of setup stages that I sometimes able to do, which is actually we're taking a break at this point after doing the stuff. And then I invite people to give a title to their story of stuck of struggle, like a movie or a film, or that's one way that I've been using. And then we choose one story to work with, and we choose one also because we usually don't have time to do everyone's story, but also it's because it's the premise is that there is the story is an opening for the whole group. So it's someone's story, but it's for all group. And we work with something that is alive, that is resonating. So we sort of have a process to figure out what's the story that resonates. And then it's someone's story, but it's all we all enter into that story. And then we do again this setup with the forces, but this time we give them voices. Like there could be like, what is this part of you is feeling that, or there's a voice that speaks to you when you're in this stuck situation. Um, by putting body into it, by feeling into it, by creating a dialogue, because then we enter into dialogue or conversation between the stuck person, the one with the story, and the voices. We allow something to move in that person relationship to its own stuck, hopefully, but also to all of us in exploring this particular situation that we know something about. It's someone else is sharing, but we're also feeling again. So going back to being in the body, there is information. Okay, so sorry. Then at this point, once I feel as a facilitator something is shifting in the voice for the person, is when I invite back the more than human, other than human messages. And in most cases, the message arrived before, so we had time to connect with a being and maybe bring a mask or an object. And there was a journey. Sometimes it can come more spontaneous, but there is a setup moment of, I call the journey, of encountering that other than human and asking um, them for a message. And it's important the consent part there, the consent from the more than human to bring the message. And then we deliver the message, and it's fascinating because I'm inviting the force in the stuck now to speak as a more than human, and it's fascinating how fitting many of those messages that came from another setting seems to be, and that's kind of a sign for how things work. Um, and again, what's fascinating for me in this part is how easy it is to people, normative, Western educated people to drop into more than human knowing, easier than one's expect. And the level of insights that come from that. So now we arrive to that part, integration, which is maybe the heart of this rainbow of all being process, which is the human inner voices and the wisdom of all being and this conversation. And which is maybe something still to develop in that process. Like I got some interesting feedback on that, and I think um, there is there is more work there in this. Let's say it's a work in progress, and that's great. That's what I like. I like to be. Probably when I finish it, I'll go do something else and leave it to other people. I won't be interested anymore. Um, and this integration, this let's say dialogue between the more than human and the inner voices is where maybe um, there's still land to ground. There's still work there, but this interaction is the conclusion so far of the rainbow of all being. Uh, then we move into the dream circle. So again, this is optional. Not always we have time. Sometimes it's more of a checkout. But that's like, how do we bring that ritual, that complex ritual of grounding we just experienced, into something we can take into the world? And the best solution I have so far is just see ourselves as a dreaming circle around the fire and looking at what we can do and achieve from there. The Zoom will need to restart in a moment, so I'm just kind of leave for now the stance of the facilitator, which is not a teacher. It's a joker. It's a container holder. It's someone that is it's neither the pen nor the ink. It's something in between. It's the container for the ink as and maybe um, the attention to that. And again, the core truth or the core premises here is the body knows that we are not separate and healing is a collective act. Um, and again, okay, so I'll need to restart the Zoom for a second. I'm sorry about that. For some reason, Maven doesn't like it that doesn't like it that I connect my pro account, so I need to use my non-pro account. Um, so this is a bit confusing. People in Substack, this is a good chance to um, thank you for being here. And if you want to share something in the chat, I'm about um, I'm almost done with the presentation part, but I'm very interested in um, what you have to share as well. Um, and if you have questions or things you want to bring here, that's great. Um, I'm having a little issue here with the link. Hmm. Oh, yes, I found it. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to restart the Zoom. Here we go. Okay. Um, okay. So welcome, Coralie. And I'm going to just do a thing here where I'm going to put on the Substack, if I'm able to do it, um, the Zoom link. So if you want to join in and be part of the conversation that we're about to start, you can do that without registering on the Maven. So I'm going to just do that. Hopefully this would work. Um, So hopefully, oops. Okay, now my computer died, so that's a complete chaos. Let me do something like here. So this is was very much an experiment. So that's why I can. Hmm, this is a bit confusing. So my computer died, so just to add to the complexity. So we did the Zoom. Uh, trying again. Here we go. Yes. Okay. So mm, this is why you need a tech team in everything you do. um, that's why never be your own tech team. But here we go. I have the hopefully the Zoom open. And Coralie, can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me, Coralie? Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No. Yes. Can you hear me? No. Yes. Okay, great. So my computer died and I lost the link and then found it again. Okay, so we're back. Um, I'll also start the recording, a second recording here, and we'll move more into a conversation. Here's Remy, great. And again, for people in Substack, you can see like, oh, you can see the dolls and the daughters, but you can also see that we are in the Zoom, and Coralie is here, and Remy is here, and I'm here as well. Um, and I'll go back to watching myself. And again, if you do feel like jumping in to the Zoom, we'll be here for a bit more, just in a conversation. And I'm pretty much done with my presentation, but I'll just share that the last slide um, of the process, which was about the facilitator, and um, and then this slide is is still a work in progress. Like um, again, showing for people this slide here. Um, Also for me, I realized that being a facilitator is being work in progress and figuring out and doing mistakes and learning. Um, and it's a very um, moldable process. Like I say, it's still unfinished, it's still in creation, so it makes the stance of the facilitator even more sort of crucial. Um, and then again, the core practices and this final message to rediscover joy, we listen to the wisdom of all life, which is something they I've got from the transcript. So, and I sort of like it. I think um, I think rediscover joy is a worthy goal. Um, so here we go. We arrived to the end of the presentation, and again, with a lot of technical issues with the Substack being on, but then my Zoom dropped because I'm using the free one for this one, and then the computer died. So just calling, maybe just Rami or Coralie. Um, from looking at all of that, what stays with you? What's your resonance from all of this? And do you have like a question or a thought or something you want to share?
And as we model the individual storytellers in ourselves, the facilitators in ourselves, with our instincts and our fears and our thoughts and our ideas, and then the relationships that we have with humans and non-human beings, this this practice that you're sharing is one that interdisciplinary in lots of communities. I have uh, I have a deep and sincere resonance and respect for the unique power and presence that each of us come to within our work. So, what you're doing and sharing, and how you're trying to do it and share it, with the use of AI and with the use of all the modalities, and how you shared it and the experiences that I've shared with you over the recent months, it isn't going to stay like it is. And in my opinion, in my experience, and it's going to continue to evolve. And there's a scaffolding that it seems that you are allowing to evolve in that way. And in that, I'm encouraged. And I want to be encouraging of you and others as we all come to these practices, to these lineages and legacies, to these books, to these other mentors, and sometimes it's to the sound of the birds, or to the river, or to the laughter of the children. And it's that which then brings us to the wound, or to the medicine, or to that moment right where we are. So it's overwhelming, everything that you're doing. And it's overwhelming so much of what others have been doing and what we all now face today with whatever we're going to do. So I can be encouraging, because we are going to have to figure out what else is going to replace what it's been that has gotten us here. I can get into specifics, there's more to share. But the fact that there are more specifics from strangers that we don't know who are coming to this work uniquely and fresh is a way that this progresses for me. And I have found that to continue to be rewarding and true. So I can participate with encouragement, knowing that I don't know where it's going to go, but that there is return in that unknowing. And in that, I'm grateful. I am very encouraged and encouraging.
Yeah, thank you, Remy. And I'm broadcasting you live on Substack with the phone, so it's like closing the loop on this whole technical setup. Yeah, and I love how you speak about everything. So it's such a medicine and yeah, blessing. Coralie, do you want to share?
Yeah. So I've followed some of your training and discussions. I've been in different discussions, different workshops every time, and I was always fascinated by the exercise and the practice. But I there it was a moment where I would put my mental off, and so I would just follow you and just see the power of it. And I think today it was really great for me. And can you hear me? Yes. Yeah. Okay. And it felt yeah, everything coming together way more clearer for me in the journey of what you've proposed, because there are so many tools and things to elaborate on, and we can go into different direction. And I felt that it was very, at least for me, for the it was a very conclusive moment for everything I've practiced with you. And I think the clarity for me is, even though it's the simplicity of it and how it has been showcased, gives me also the energy to maybe like give it to other people, or find a way to embrace it and use some of the tools, because it feels now more structured. And so for me, it's okay. Like, it is quite structured, and I can I can follow like where what we want to work on. Like, I think, I don't know. There was something that felt like an accomplishment. So an encouragement, and it's kind of like the slow movements of like these kind of tools. It's quite slow. It's like simple, so that's why it's more discreet. As how it's broadcast. It's not yeah, it's not everyone that's, I don't know. It doesn't have the coverage of like maybe other tools or other trainings. But I mean, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know actually. But I think it's because it's powerful in the simplicity of it. So I really enjoy it, and I even see it now that is I see it in this form, like the clarity that I have, that I'm seeing. Um, yeah, it can go to any kind of an environment. Actually, you can present it in any kind of environment where people want to work on those kind of subjects. And yeah, there is a feeling of clarity for me.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's important for me. It's really important for me to receive feedback and collect feedback, especially I want to say negative, but not negative, but constructive, constructive, not so positive feedback that I sometimes get. And I realized, so I'm teaching this theater that reconnects course to university students, and last summer I got um, I got some very not so positive feedback, and I think there was a complexity in that feedback. To be honest, I think some of it was my identity that was triggering to that particular person or student, but some of it was like saying, we're in the description of the course, I write something like evidence based, and like they didn't feel grounded in what I was doing, and somehow, and they had other reasons why to be upset and even be kind of attacking somehow. And I also got other feedback recently which has a similar tone to it. Like, and I realized that what I've been doing here in this presentation today was I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to do more because it's easy for me to sort of go into the flow and be in the being and invite into this. But I think some people or many people actually need and let's say appreciate, feel grounded with the meta narrative and the grounding and the speaking about. So by not allowing this space to happen, I'm actually not allowing them to be included, and and some parts, So like what you're calling clarity, or I interpret as also grounding it somehow, like entering into some kind of meta. Because I feel facilitation is kind of like magic work, and sometimes it's important the magician in this particular magic trip find a way to share their trick, but because otherwise you kind of maintain a power over dilemma or situation where you are the magician, you know the trick, but the audience doesn't. And so it's basically a sort of manipulation. So that's why I think this type of presentation that I hope to do more of also in my organized courses. So the main courses I have that I'm teaching this, let's say, is the university student course, which starts soon in the next semester, and the introduction course, which starts tomorrow.
We're losing you a little bit.
Are you losing me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so you know, you're picking up.
Okay, I might close.
Yeah, we can't hear you properly.
How is this?
Close the video, maybe.
Yes, I closed the video.
We can hear you.
Is this
it's
better?
better.
Okay. It's probably the internet connection is struggling with me broadcasting myself and zooming at the same time, and I'm on the second floor, so all this combination is kind of pushing the bandwidth to its limits. Um, but just going back to what you just shared, and thank you for sharing that, it's important for me to integrate feedback, especially the feedback that where people are don't feel great about what's happening. So I'm trying to do that in the course where I'm teaching in the university students, which starts um, in May again, and also tomorrow the introduction course. Bringing more spaces like this and creating resources like the one we just recorded for people who would like to see kind of what's the magic trick behind the magic trick, because the magic trick is kind of the facilitation, and but I'm not kind of operating out of thin air. Actually, there is these maps, these structures that I presented them now and presented in the handbook that are there. So it's that's what I'm kind of taking as reflection from what you shared, and yeah, and I feel again that right now it's not my day job, Theater that reconnects. Like I'm offering it, so I'm offering it in the pay what you can mostly. So even the courses, I always give a scholarship opportunity, whether ask or not ask, and and that's part because I don't need it. I have other projects that finance, but also because I feel I'm seeding something, and I'm seeding it not just for myself, but for potentially a community of practices. And part of seeding is giving, giving and letting and trusting. Um, and because I feel there is a community that wants to emerge from that. I hope where some of this is or most of it is still to be co-created, and that's the invitation that I'm making here to that. So thank you for yes, yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I understand. It's not the same when you are teaching at the university. Like, that's why you created the whole thing, is because you can not freely be yourself, because you can freely be yourself at the university, but it's a particular place. And I know it because I've been there, and I've been to other places where it wasn't university. And it feels that people that wants to um, build their own journey and their own temple, even though it's evidence based. If if like it's just to say, like, I've been a lot into adapting myself to different audience, and I think it's quite interesting to do that. But I might understand why, like, university, like, students that go there, or collaborators, like, there is an expectation of a certain way of doing things. Whereas what you're doing is you're trying to build, as you said, a community, and you're trying to build, this methods and practice and experience them. And I think that's also great that you're trying to do it outside of the university, and so that you have also the students that are mirroring that, and you have the people that are, are willing to be in these spaces with your structure and your methodology. But it's just also a particular place at university. So it depends. It depends what you want to do, and it depends how you want this to entangle. But yeah, I understand the comments, but it shouldn't also, like, it's good because maybe it make you think about other stuff um, and have more structure, or I don't know. But it's just also to have in mind that it's just different spaces. And um, I also know it because I've done a lot of university, but for my therapy training, for instance, I could have done it in university, but I chose not to because I found a space where it was exactly what I wanted, and the space was, almost made for me. And maybe at the end, I don't have like the right certificate, but it's also you choose the people you wanna work with and how you want to work. Um, but yeah, anyway, I don't know. I was just thinking
Yeah,
about what you were saying.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, I feel again, there's a lot of, we can go into all conversation about university and how is it, uh, in many ways, a broken in structure. But I also, again, I appreciate very much, what I wanted to say is that I appreciate very much being challenged. It's not easy. Like there are moments where I'm being challenged in the setting or other setting that, oh, my victim part awakes and I'm all defensive and all kind of, and it doesn't matter that, a few other people were like, I love it, it's changed my life, and then one person says something else, and it's like I'm in pieces, right? But after I'm allowing the being in pieces to run through me, there is always some kind of wisdom in it, I feel. And in that particular feedback, which was very difficult to receive, um, I feel there is a challenge, a positive challenge to ground it, to figure out, even though it's not evidence based now, how it might be, and naming it in the way that it's helpful. And at the same time, yeah, to keep building somehow from it, from what works and what could work better. Um, Yeah, and it is lovely to be able to offer it both in the university setting, where I get people that might not have chosen that outside of university because they get credits and they're doing social work studies and this fits their calendar. That's like the most, when I ask like people, why did you choose a course? Like the most, it fit my calendar, right? So, right. So this is like the reason why people do a course because they fit the calendar or whatever. But and then some people find it inspiring. And the same course that I did last year, the one that I got someone leaving a lot of very harsh feedback, someone in the end said like, I've been hanging out in this university and courses and I haven't found anything that, and he said like this, I found something, so he found something in it, right? And that's worth a lot for me, just him sharing that. Um, and oh yeah, again, when I get negative feedback, I can of course always choose to stay with that or stay with what was the learning, um, and and also be in the positive feedback in people that take it. And so yeah, thank you for being in this conversation and in this co-creation of this space, Coralie and Remy and everyone who is also listening on Substack. It was meant to be a short one, but Remy, please.
Yeah, I do want to bring one thing to the table and make sure that it's said out loud. In that, we're not demonstrating how to use a spoon and a fork and a knife. Like the material, it is about love and about hate, and it's about uncertainty, and it's about real, very emotional and living things. So why someone might be drawn because of a calendar opportunity to take the class, or why someone may be dealing with an issue with their family or with their peer group or their community, and they sense that there's something to what is offered. Now, it may be through, other schools and other lineages and everything, but what I appreciate and what I also am voicing now is that this willingness to say, this isn't out of nowhere. This is based on experiences and listening and everything. And I don't know where we're going to come from this, but I respect that what we're dealing with are very real emotions, very real stresses. And sometimes people might be attracted to come to something like a theater that reconnects, or they like the language, they like some of the feelings that it might bring through them, but they don't really know how to manage that, and that they do need others in their lives, that this class, this work isn't necessarily prepared or ready, nor is it necessarily appropriate to offer the response, the next part. So I can see that some would be attracted, and then some things would surface for them that they wouldn't know how to deal with, that this course that you're offering and these practices don't necessarily tell people what to do or where to go with it. There's no elixir, there's no Kool-Aid, there's no fix. And it's in that relational process and dialogue that we have with ourselves, that trusting each other through a few week process of that, we may want to have more in our lives of that, in a university or in a community or in our peer group, but not know how to recreate that with these practices. So I can see that some people would feel some constraint and fear, then needing to turn to you as a facilitator, as the leader, as the teacher, to say, hey, you brought this to me, now what do I do with it? And I think this is a good opportunity to say, I don't know, but that's why we're doing this, is that it needs to go in lots of different directions. We need infrastructure and scaffolding and ideas and developments and innovations and rememberings that don't keep us trapped to then create these emotions turn these emotions into hate or into fear. Let them play through. Let them be what they are. But then let's figure out what we're going to do with them. So I appreciate that what you're offering, what I understand you're offering, isn't another product. It isn't another book. It's not another tool that people need to turn to apply, but a tool that could help them find another tool, another community, another relationship that might be supporting them even more. I think that's an incredibly powerful thing to articulate right at the get-go, because it allows then me, someone who was interested in this, to identify what my responsibility is as a student, as a learner, as a participant. And then to hold you as my mentor, as my teacher, and others in the course accountable to figuring out, now nobody's a leader here, now what do we do so that when we finish this, we're all more leaders in our own practice of this interdisciplinary, collaborative, multimedia kind of experience. Now, I tried to pack a lot in there. The core sum of it is just, as we are interested and excited in this work, others might be too. And they may not have the experience and the confidence that some of us have had in this to go through some really hard, scary things. And that is a normal reaction. So anybody who's using these techniques, that's something that we can always remind ourselves collectively. We have to hold each other accountable and ready to hold each other accountable and ready. To hold each other accountable and ready, to hold each other. And as we model doing what you're offering, I can only be encouraging.
Yeah, thank you, Raimi. That's beautiful. And I'm trying to be on video again. Hopefully, it would work. You can see me and it wouldn't freeze. Um, but just yeah, again, thanking you and thanking people on Substack, especially people in Substack that waited as I was figuring out the collapsing Zoom situation. I might do some re-editing to patch the two recordings and remove the funny bit where I'm trying to figure out how to get back to my own Zoom and connect the computer and stuff like that. Or maybe that's interesting for some people. Um, yeah, I mean, just to echo what you just said, Raimi, I really feel that what I would like this to be about. It's I'm not offering a recipe or even a method at this point. Maybe at some point it would be. Uh, um, Maybe I or maybe other people will find a way to make it more method-like. I'm not against methods, but it's just not what I'm offering right now. I'm offering it's a provocation, it's an invitation. It's based on various lineages and methods that are more substantial. It's still in the process of making. It's entering into a cookbook club. It's not that's the state of things. It's not the recipe book, it's the cookbook that will make the recipe book. So the people who join in this, and my greatest teachers and co-creators of this work are the students, or whatever, not students, people who join the online stage. Like that's where it's created. They are co-creators. I feel like I'm creating it because we are creating it as a response to the moment. So, so I bring some stuff, but people bring as much or as more than I can. So that's the state of things. But it is important to create some groundings, and as we move along. And this handbook, this resource, is part of that process. Recording this is part of that process. To take a moment to do kind of like taking stock of where we are and creating some kind of meta reflection moment that allows this to kind of settle and also get more clarity for people who are, including myself, are in that process, but we're so much in it that we're not seeing it, you know. Um, so that's kind of yeah, and kind of closing again as we started with a little prayer for I want to say the broken, hurting inner children in mighty leaders and not so mighty leaders. May they be healed, maybe go beyond the ego and our little fears and traumas into something where we are living courageously in peace and justice and love. Um, and the work is now as much as in the future. And if I learned anything from my teachers and from those that I met, is that um, we are much more powerful than we allow ourselves to be. And I don't remember who said that, but it's definitely someone said that our greatest fear is that it's not that we're weak, but that we are strong beyond our belief. I think is it Margaret Mead? Someone here will know and write the correct quote and who said it. But um, and paraphrasing it is, we are strong beyond any belief, limiting belief we hold. And this strength is made of and for love. Uh, um, and yeah, may it be what guides us um, uh, into a better version of this world, uh, coming back from the dark side of the moon and into shared humanity.
Indeed, with courage, Yuri. Thank you.
Mhm.
Nice to see you again,
Thank
Chloe.
you. Yeah.
I okay, so I close the Zoom. I'll patch the Zoom links. I'll put them in. I'll see if I can help that. Thank you for people listening on Substack. Now my phone is also dying, so it was an experiment. I hope you enjoyed it. You didn't see the slides, but please check them out and the resource if you don't have the resource, or in the chat here. It might appear. You see slides on Canva, and you have it in a downloadable PDF on the Maven resource page. And if you feel the call to just jump in, I'm starting an introduction course cohort tomorrow and Thursday for 5 weeks. There's also a weekend of Rainbow of All Beings in April, the end of last weekend of April. So that's a weekend when we're just going into Rainbow of All Beings for 3 days to 1.5 hours. And on Zoom, wherever you are from. And again, there's always a sliding scale. There's always scholarship for those who need it and want it and feel committed to the work. So keep being in relationship, and I hope to see you in one place or another. Thank you.